Welcome to the 360 Sports Network Road to the Final Four podcast series, where we break down each and every conference tournament on the way to the big dance to see who will get those automatic berths into the tournament. Because before we can fill the field of 68, we must first get through the conference championships. I'm James Dotson. Tonight we want to look at the Colonial Athletic Association. Now the CAA tournament is going to look very different this year compared to some previous championships. And that's because many teams we've become familiar with seeing in the tournament will not be competing in Richmond this coming weekend for a chance at this automatic berth. The defending champion, Virginia Commonwealth, has moved out of the conference and has moved on to the Atlantic 10, where they're a favorite to get the automatic bid there this year. Old Dominion and Georgia State, they're both ineligible for the tournament because they are departing the conference next season. Also, UNC Wilmington and Towson are the latest victims of APR issues, and thus they are being banned from postseason play as a whole by the NCAA. This ban is especially troublesome for Towson, who actually finished second place in the conference and had a great opportunity for an NCAA tournament bid. So really, that only leaves us now with 7 teams in the conference who are trying to make it for a title and make it to the NCAA, instead of 11 or 12 like we normally have. So let's start this analysis with a well-known name in college basketball, the George Mason Patriots. At 17-13 this year, another Final Four Cinderella run does seem pretty unlikely, but they do have the keys to make a potential run to the automatic bid. Sherrod Wright is a one-man wrecking crew out there. He averages 16.5 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and the next highest scorer on the team, Jonathan Aldridge, averages just 8 points per game. That's less than half of what Wright scores. Now Wright, the star guard from Mount Vernon, he averages 31 minutes per game, but beyond him, it's a balanced and deep Patriot attack. 8 others receive significant minutes each game. They keep their players fresh, and those role players come up big when they are called upon. It is a very interesting dynamic, having the star guy who has twice as many points as anybody else on the team, but then with the balance and depth beyond him. I'm very intrigued how it's going to play out for George Mason in the tournament. They lost their last 2 games going into the tournament, though, so that kind of scares me. But they did split games with their opening round opponent Drexel, so they should be all right there. The question is, what happens after that? Now, Delaware, the number 2 seed, they have an 18-13 record, but it's a bit misleading, as they've played some quality non-conference opponents this year. They lost to Pitt, Kansas State, Duke, Villanova, and Temple early in the year, a couple of those games being rather close down the stretch, though. They also beat Virginia, who's currently a bubble team, and they defeated Pennsylvania, always a powerhouse. They beat them twice this year. They've won 7 out of their last 8 games, so they're on a good stretch right now. They've also won 4 straight to enter the tournament. The Blue Hens put up 70 points per game, paced by the 20 points per game of Devin Sadler. He's one of the best scorers in the game that nobody knows about. He shoots 35% from beyond the arc and is nearly automatic from the charity stripe. Also, I want you to watch out for Jamel Higgins. He averages a double-double, 11.5 points, 10.5 rebounds each time they go out there. There's only one issue for the Fighting Blue Hens, though, and that's depth. 4 of their players average 33 minutes or more per game. That really scares me for tournament play, especially because of those back-to-back games. They need to trust some of their bench guys with a few more minutes here if they're going to get through the Colonial tournament, and definitely if they want to do anything when it comes to the NCAA tournament as well. The top seed Northeastern Huskies have a much more balanced offensive attack than, say, George Mason or Delaware have. They have 4 players who average double-digit points per game, led by Joel Smith, 16.5. Smith also shoots 42% from beyond the arc. The senior has plenty supportive around him, though, as the Huskies go 8 to 10 deep very consistently throughout the season. They also have a team average of 37% from three-point range. They don't have much height, though, and that's what scares me for the tournament, and definitely if they make it to the NCAA. But they do compensate with that good perimeter game. They had a guy by the name of Dinko Marshevsky, a 7-footer. They did have a guy by the name of Dinko Marshevsky, a 7-footer who would come in and take on the big opponents down low. But he hasn't played in the last 4 games. The lack of a big man could be troublesome for the Huskies down the stretch. And in the end, I think that's just going to be a little bit too much to do with. Even though they have the depth, I think I'm going to have to give the edge to Delaware in the championship. 3 games in 3 days might be tough for the lack of depth that Delaware has, but I think the Fighting Hens will be up to the challenge, especially because they have a little bit of a bigger inside presence to work with. I think Higgins especially has a huge game down low, and he actually had 17 points and 9 rebounds when they beat Northeastern earlier this year in an overtime victory. Watch for Delaware, I think, to get the automatic bid. Now, as for their NCAA tournament hopes, check on that first round matchup. If they play a deep team, say like a Michigan State for example, they'll be doomed because a team will be able to run up and down against them. However, if they play a team with a one superstar or a team that likes to slow it down, that plays right into Delaware's favor, and the Hens could be worth a big upset possibility. Well, that's it for breaking down the conference tournament today of the Colonial Athletic Association. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at 3S Network and keep tabs on our website, 360 Sports Network, for all of the bracket breakdowns, whether it be for the conference tournament or when the NCAA tournament finally fills their field of 68. So we can help make your brackets be the very best they can be, and so you can win your office pool challenge. For 360 Sports Network, I'm James Dotson. Pleasant evening.